Now let's discuss how all these forms work together to to help to help sell this focal point, and how it helps in leading the eye toward this area, because everything, because this focal point here, this is where the story is happening, or this is where the most interest is happening. So the purpose of all these elements is they need to sort of provide balance to the piece. They also need to provide interest. They need to provide support to the composition, and they're not supposed to be a distraction. So let's discuss how all these elements help in moving your eye towards this focal point here. Now, as you notice, these branches have a subtle curve to them. Okay, they're not just straight branches here. They have a sort of sway around them, a rhythm in the way they're drawn and painted. Now, this rhythm is done with a purpose. Okay, they're not just there because it looks cool. They're done because the artist wants you to look at the focal point via these rhythmic lines that are happening. So these are readily apparent with the branches. So these curves, these branches lead your eye towards this focal point here. But they're not done in a very obvious manner. So there isn't a there's not an arrow. There's no arrow. There's no arrow that's basically pointing you here. Oh, here's the focal point. Come look at this area here. No, no, no. You, you as an artist, you should hide it, because if you make it too obvious, it's gonna be boring and it's gonna look amateurish. So you have to hide it, and it provides a sort of mystery for the audience, and they start to wonder, hey, why am I so into this piece? Why am I so attracted to this painting? Why does it look so good? I can't understand why. So that's your job, okay? You have to let them feel that you're guiding them, but you don't have to make it too obvious. That's your job as a visual artist, okay? Aside from the branches also, trees, the leaves themselves also provide rhythm to the piece. But aside from, well, leading your eye towards a focal point, it also provides a visual excitement. So so everything is moving around. It's much more interesting. Okay, let's say in terms of eye movement, instead of you going like this, then you're gonna move down, then you're gonna move down again. This looks so this eye path. Well, you try it yourselves. You follow these lines. It's gonna look so boring. It's very monotonous. But once you introduce these lines, they look much more interesting. They flow. Okay, so that's why the artist decided to make the trees more stylized, so so he or she can utilize these wonderful rhythmic lines. 'Cause they look a lot. They look very interesting. So you can imagine them as waves. Waves are inherently interesting, so you can spend a lot of time just looking at the waves because of the rhythm involved, because of the rhythmic lines. that are in those waves. As you can see here, everything, to almost every branch, has been placed there with the purpose of you, with the purpose of leading your eyes towards this area. And aside from the branches themselves, this area here, Rapunzel's hair, it's also a leading, a rhythmic line that leads towards this two here. Even this branch, even this patch of leaves or grass, this area, even the stone, they continuously provide rhythmic lines that will lead towards this area. Now, as you get more experience in doing these studies, or as you're doing your own pieces, it's gonna be more apparent once you look at other artworks and other compositions, whether it be in photography, or in filmmaking. You're gonna notice all these things, all these devices that the artist is using to make their composition work, to make their composition better. But the thing here, the trick here is you need to hide it. You have to make it subtle for it to really work. Okay. Now since okay, now let's go back with this frame. Okay, since we're almost done with the basic, almost all the elements have been added now. Let's go back and look at frame this framing device that I've discussed a while ago. And then, as you notice, this framing device has been added because this framing device happened because of these two big elements um, in between the focal point. Now, as you notice, this medium shape of a tree, or the trees behind the big shapes, also provide another framing device for your focal point. So there's a frame within a frame that's going on here. Let's not shade that. Okay. So there's another shape. There's another shape that appeared after we've broken down this big frame here. So again, because I think maybe the artist thought that without this tree, or if he left it as two frames, or as if he left it as like this, as a normal frame, with a normal framing device, it's gonna look it's gonna look a bit unnatural. Okay, in the grand scheme, or for a thumbnail stage, for the thumbnail stage, it works. Okay, but you need to make it more natural. Like I said a while ago, with the rhythmic lines, in order for this to work a lot better and a lot more natural, in order to hide it better, it's good to add another breakdown for that shape. So you hide it again by way of introducing this this shape. This negative shape happened because of the arrangement of these medium shapes behind this big tree. So that's the thing with composition. If the initial shape that you did is a bit too boring or too forced, in order to make it more natural, you can hide it again by introducing another shape within that shape that sort of breaks it down further. And by breaking it down, you make it a lot more interesting. Okay, so let's combine these layers. You have your rhythmic lines. Now let's talk about the sky. Okay, the sky now provides. I've highlighted the sky. The sky makes sure is that the painting is really in a real world. Okay, it's not a set. The artist is showing you the sky, so it's gonna provide another means of depth and perspective to the piece. So the piece will feel more alive, or it's gonna show that these two these two characters here are in a living world. So the sky sort of suggests that, but you're not. But again, the sky is presented again in a very very interesting manner. It's not really just laid out like this. Oh, here, look at the sky. It's a sky. Look, the sky. So and in this paint over, it shows again the boring aspect of introducing monotonous shapes in your composition. So he's the artist is now he wanted to show the sky in a more interesting manner, so he did it by showing them in between these trees. So there's sort of sky holes, okay? These this way of showing the sky also um, provides sort of rest area for the viewer. So you're not really looking at a mass of trees, so your eyes are gonna get tired when you're just looking at a sea of trees, everything around you. So everywhere around you. So what you need, or what the viewer needs, is a resting point or rest areas in your piece. So for every tree, for once in a while you're looking at the trees here, then there's gonna be a break from the sky, and then trees up, break, trees, break, branch, break. Okay. So there's an alternating areas of rest, and then there's an area of active. There's area of details, and then there's area of rests in your canvas. As you can see here, I've highlighted the areas of rest for this piece. So the ground area provides a rest area too. Um, so this big shape here has a lot of texture, but as you go down here, the artist provided less details relative to this area, so your eyes can rest. And then it's gonna go back here to something more busier. Okay, texture here. Up, slight area of rest, and then there's gonna be texture again, rest, texture, rest. Okay, even here in this tree, the leaves are full of texture, but as you go down, there's gonna be an area of rest. Texture, area of rest, texture, area of rest. This light here, it's very brilliant, so all the details have been washed out by the sunlight. So it's gonna be again an area of rest, and then as you go back here, the details are back, and then as you can see, by this alternating areas of rest, detail, rest, detail, rest, detail, rest area, detail. Your eye is once again led towards the focal point. So almost all these elements have the purpose of you going back here in this focal point. So that's a job mostly of these compositional elements.